Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another Sims info/thoughts video. So this one is going to be all about some SimGuru Q&A with SimGuru Grant on Twitter, about some interesting sort of behind the scenes stuff, as well as the possibility of certain things that may or may not come to the game. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First, we're going to start off with a couple of different career ideas. So in response to a tweet that Grant said about the different types of careers that we have in The Sims 4, Alaskan Cowgirl says that she's still holding out hope for a possible active mechanics career. Much love for all the work you guys do. And Grant says, I've been asking for this since literally before the base game shipped, because I want to recreate Dom's garage in the Fast and the Furious. I don't have friends, I've got family. What's kind of funny is that even though I very badly want cars back in The Sims 4, I haven't really thought too much about the idea of a mechanic career, but I think this would be a really good way to justify bringing cars to the game. And as an active career, yeah, I suppose that could be interesting. Just like clicking on different parts of the car and repairing certain things, and maybe a whole assortment of funny fail animations and other stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't thought too much about a mechanics career, but yeah, I really like that idea a lot. So here's hoping that it happens eventually. Next, Ariana Newell asks, would you like the interior designer career to make a comeback in The Sims 4? And Grant says, yes, but no. Yes, because it's a great story that ties to build. No, because it's incredibly difficult to have it make sense and integrate smartly. It was a neat idea, but I'm not sure how truly successful it was. And then when Seth Kano replied with, does that mean you won't advocate for it if it gets brought up? I'd love to see it return. It was my favorite career besides daycare and lifeguards in The Sims 3. And Grant says this falls under the category of, if it makes sense within a pack, thematically tied together, someone is passionate about it, ideally a designer plus producer, and it fits cost-wise, I would defer to the people making it. I wouldn't veto this, no. So the interior design career was a pretty interesting one. In case you didn't know, it came with the Ambitions expansion pack for The Sims 3, and it was an active career. And you could actually go around to Sims homes, and the client would give you some criteria like, oh, build a bathroom or renovate the kitchen and stuff like that. So you'd have these goals to complete, and you could place the appropriate objects, and then you could also go a little bit extra if you wanted to, and if you didn't have all the objects placed that the client didn't want, then they would not be happy with you, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I had fun with it. It was not my favorite active career in Ambitions, but it was still an interesting sort of diversion for me. But when it comes to The Sims 4, I don't know. I don't really miss that career a lot particularly. I did really want the military career back, and we just got that with Strangerville. So if it is something that comes back, then yeah, I'll be excited for it. But it's not something that I want super badly, so yeah, like Grant said, if it ends up making sense with some sort of future pack, then that would be great. It'd be cool if it could be included for free in an update like the style influencer career was last year, but probably not. Pardon the pun, but it's probably too ambitious to give us for free. And now we're going to talk about traits. So Ensign Brandon says, could you guys perhaps look into having more than 3 personality traits? And Grant says, this is a deliberate choice, as beyond 3, your Sims just trip over themselves and are not remotely distinct. And then when King Josh Simming replied with, wait, what? Wouldn't adding more traits make our Sims more distinct? And Grant says, it is difficult to explain. We tested it, and eventually they just glom together. If they do everything, they don't seem to do anything distinct. That being said, honestly, I would like to figure out a way to let you guys pick 1 to 5 traits. Just need time to do so. And I can see both sides of the argument here, because in the past I have expressed disappointment that we can only choose 3 traits, because in The Sims 3, we could choose 5. And I was like, wait, what? Why can we only choose 3 this time around? And every time I talked about it, people would reply saying, oh, but there's reward traits, so that gets you around the limit a little bit. As well as the fact that you do get a bonus trait when you select your aspiration, but I don't know. I don't really feel quite the same about that in comparison to the 5 traits that we could choose with The Sims 3. Because 3 definitely does feel limiting, in my opinion. And I do feel like it's not enough room to really define your Sim's personality from the start, because, for example, like creating an adult Sim, we'll use myself as an example. I would choose creative, good, and geek as my 3 traits, but that feels limiting because if we had 5 traits, then I would also add on cat lover and clumsy. So yeah, it would be nice in my opinion if we could choose up to 5 traits. On the other hand, I do somewhat see Grant's point about if there were too many traits that we could choose at once, then our Sims would be less distinct individually, because then there'd be more crossover between each Sim having the same traits. But I feel like that would only be the case if, say, the trait limit was 7 to 10. Then, when it gets to that point, yeah, absolutely, I would see how then the traits would just glom together and make our Sims feel less distinct. But yeah, in my opinion, putting it down to 3 traits is a little too extreme. 4 to 5 I think would be perfect still. But I guess one other thing to consider is that there are a lot more traits now than there were back when The Sims 4 came out in 2014. But I still remember even back then I was disappointed, so I don't know. But now that there are more traits to work with, maybe it would be worth expanding the limit just a pinch, just a little bit. And I do hope we continue to get more interesting traits in the future, because I really like the paranoid trait that we got with Strangerville, because it wasn't just some generic, oh, that raises an emotion or skill faster than normal, but rather it has Sims get tense out in public more often because they're scared about what Sims are saying about them, and they also prefer to be in basements, which is quite interesting to me too, because I'm pretty sure that was never a thing in The Sims 3. There was never a trait where Sims preferred to be in basements. Next up is body hair. So SimGuru Grant was talking about various things that he did designs for with The Sims 3, and one of those things was body hair. And in response to that, Diane Pink says, I hope it's stuck with you so you can make the chest hair for The Sims 4 in terms of just how he did the design. And Grant says one of the difficult tensions is that we have so many hairs to make, especially more ethnic hairs and more clothing, especially more modern clothing, and diverting time from that for chest hair is sometimes hard to argue. Always too much to do, too little time. And then when Prostate Wizard asks, would it be hard to make chest hair? I don't know how anything is made, so I'm just curious. I know hairs are hard because of texturing and modeling, but, and I don't mean to assume, I imagine chest hair would be pretty easy to incorporate, considering it would not have to be 3D. And Grant says, not hard per se, it is time issue versus other things we can make. And then when Zinnia Owl Eyes says body hair for both sexes, feels to me like a big part of people being able to create themselves in The Sims. And Grant replies, as someone with body hair, I agree. It isn't that it is wrong, it's just a priority, and we need to figure out when to do it. And I agree as well as someone with body hair. This is something that I've talked about multiple times, and I really think this should have been in The Sims 4 from the beginning. Since body hair for The Sims 3 did come out around the Generations expansion pack, I guess Parenthood would have been an appropriate time to do body hair for The Sims 4, but they didn't, so I don't know. If they did some sort of other family-related pack that was either a game pack or an expansion pack, then I guess that would be a good chance to do it. But otherwise, I don't know if there's really a specific theme that it could go with. Just have it come in a free update. Doesn't matter what time of year or around what pack, just give it to us, please. And yeah, definitely for both sexes. If I remember correctly, because I haven't played around with Create a Sim in The Sims 3 for a long time, I think with females, body hair options were either limited or non-existent, but then males had access to all of it. But body hair, yes please, needs to happen eventually. And I know some people say, oh, but it'd be hard to make body hair work with the art style, but well, that's what I thought with The Sims 3, and then they did make it work with that game, so I'm sure they can figure it out with The Sims 4. And now we're going to end things on a more controversial note, I guess. But Zistel, in reply to the first body hair tweet that I talked about, she says, how come so many things were able to get done for The Sims 3 and The Sims 4 is much slower with content and just not enough time, like you said? No shade, just don't understand. And Grant says, we have been out for 4.5 years and have released 25 pieces of DLC and about 4 dozen free updates ranging from patches to huge features. We have done way more than TS3 did. And then Jack the Simmer adds on that people forget that The Sims 3 has multiple studios working on content, and The Sims 4 is entirely in-house. One of the reasons it's so optimized. Sims 3 has more content by now, but a lot of it was made outside of Redwood Shores. And Zistel says did not know this. It would be nice to see the Sims 4 team expand a bit. And then Grant replies saying, the TS4 team is like 200 people, which is over twice the size of the TS3 team. What? What? Yeah, Zistel's gif in reply definitely is super relatable. Probably the most relatable tweet that I've seen in a bit. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that really does raise more questions. Because how is it that they are producing content a little less quickly, yet they have twice the team size as before? I don't know 100% if he is also considering the store team as part of the number that they're twice the size of, because yeah, I don't know. I don't think the answer is just a simple, oh, they're lazy. I think it is more complicated than that, but yeah, that is definitely something that I'd really like a bit more of an in-depth answer to, because that does really confuse me quite a bit. I mean, sure, there are game packs now which did not exist during The Sims 3's life, and the stuff packs for The Sims 4 have more gameplay when only like a couple of the ones for The Sims 3 did. But I don't know if that really is enough to make up the difference. And that wraps up another Sims info/thoughts video. So feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on any of the topics that I covered in this video. And be sure to leave a like or a comment or even subscribe, because it lets me know that you really like my content, and it helps you keep up to date with my latest stuff from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!